What's up, y'all? It's the MMA Analyst here to do my preview for UFC Fight Night 24. Nogueira versus Davis. Few days removed from last Saturday, where, lots of stuff went down. Damn, my video blew up. A lot of people got lots to say. It's everybody's own opinion to say what they want to say. I will not censor opinions. It is what it is. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm just gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna say that we've got a new champ, and he's gonna be difficult for anybody to deal with. And Shogun, he's got to step it up. He's got to step it up. No excuses. Let's move on. Antonio Nogueira versus Phil Davis. This is gonna be a light heavyweight bout between somebody where we want to know where he is and against somebody who we want to know where he is. And it seems like right now Nogueira is a good, almost like a gatekeeper at this point. If you can beat Nogueira, then we know that you're of a certain level. If you can't beat Nogueira, then you're probably not gonna be able to hang with these top 10s. And his last fight against Ryan Bader, a lot of people thought he actually won that fight. He was stuffing takedowns. Ryan Bader was not doing much. Lots of wrestling and whatnot, but actually not getting the fight to the ground. I think he ended up 4 takedowns or 3 takedowns out of like 12 attempts or something like that. Very close fight, back and forth. It's not like it was a massive robbery. It was a close fight. But he did end up losing that fight. It was his first fight that he lost since losing to Sokoju back in 2007 when we had witnessed the birth of the next greatest thing of all time, Sokoju, right? People, don't get it twisted. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying. So, we already know what his skill sets are, or at least used to be, or maybe could still be, but we're not sure. At least in the past, great boxing, head movement, great jiu-jitsu. He's got power in his hands. Not like he's doing Chuck Liddell back in the day, but he knows how to hit you. We haven't seen that too recently. The last time he finished somebody was a very nice win over Louis Kane. He had a nice submission before that, and then he had a knockout over Vladimir Matyshenko back in Affliction. But I mean, top 10 Nogueira has not really been around as of late. It's been kind of like I said. If he is top 10, he's number 10. You know what I mean? And after the loss to Ryan Bader, he can't be considered top 10 at this point. So where is Antonio Nogueira? Same question with Phil Davis. Young, up-and-coming fighter, undefeated, showing a lot of promise. A lot of improvements from fight to fight, and he's getting some comparisons to Jon Jones, although I do believe that's a little early. Jon Jones and what he's been able to do with his opponents is completely different than Phil Davis. However, they both are young, up-and-coming fighters. Obviously, Jon Jones is still young. He's a champ. Phil Davis, how good is he? Excellent wrestling. He's looked good in all of his fights. Pause. He's looked good. But his striking is definitely not where it needs to be. He's improving, but it's not where he needs to be. And also, something that I haven't really heard many people talk about, when he gets on top with the wrestling, he has a very loose, I want to say he's just loose. The pressure, it just doesn't look like it's there. Maybe it is. I mean, I'm not seeing a lot of people sweeping him a lot. But when he's on top and side control, or even when he's on mount, he's not tight. It's almost, for people who do jiu-jitsu, it's almost like he has a technical mount with the one leg up, but like that's a lot of space in no-gi, in mixed martial arts. And against somebody like Nogueira, that could be a problem. I do see him taking down Nogueira. I do see Nogueira being on his back. I don't see him, Nogueira stuffing a whole lot of takedowns like he did against Ryan Bader. Davis has some legitimate wrestling for MMA. When he gets him down, I do see Nogueira being able to sweep him a few times, but eventually getting the fight back to the feet. In the end, I don't see Davis being caught by the ground game, and I do see the takedowns and holding Nogueira down and getting some positions and then losing the position, standing back up, rinse, repeat. I see that happening en route to a Phil Davis victory. That's why I'm going to go with Phil Davis. Next, we have Dan Hardy versus Anthony Rumble Johnson. I'm sure everybody knows, but in case somebody doesn't know, this fight's at 170. And Anthony Rumble Johnson started his weight cut like maybe 2 months ago at 230 pounds. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of that was just dude being way out of shape. He was injured. His last fight was November 21st, 2009. So he's been out of the game for a while. That's when he lost to Josh Koscheck. But he got fat. Him and Rampage probably look similar. Well, just fat. Do the math, people. 230 minus 170. Figure that out. Whoa. So, you've got a guy who's had problems making weight before. 2 times so far. Both times he missed weight. They had different reactions to it. One was a knockout over Yoshida. He weighed like 7 or 6 pounds over, and the other was against Rich Clementi, and he gassed. He's a big guy. He's a strong guy. Is he even gonna make weight? That is the big question right now. Will he make weight? If he does make weight, exactly what kind of shape is he in? Did he spend his whole training camp just getting down to 170? Did he get any time to work on anything? Did he just do a lot of jogging? Is he going to be completely burned out? Is he going to be dead walking into the cage? Ring rust. All of these things. Will he have power in his hands after 3-4 minutes of moving around? We'll see. This fight is supposed to potentially stay on the feet. We will see. Dan Hardy. It's kind of crazy in the UFC the way things work. You had the Machida era, which, lasted a couple minutes. But the Machida era was just 2 fights removed from where we are right now, where potentially Dana's saying Machida's got to win, or he could get cut. You talk about the champion lost to the champion and then lost to a former champion in Rampage, and now he could potentially be cut for losing his 3rd fight in a row. It's kind of crazy. Now, did Dan Hardy really earn that spot against George St. Pierre? I don't know. He definitely won like 4 fights in a row to get it. He didn't have to beat anybody in the top 10, but the point is he fought for the title 2 fights ago. He lost to George St. Pierre, then he lost to Carlos Condit, and now he's, is there a possibility that Dan Hardy's going to get cut? The answer is no. Obviously, he's humongous in the UK, and he's an exciting fighter. Exciting as in he likes to go out there and swing. So there's no benefit for Dana allowing him to be released or releasing him. But it's still kind of crazy. It really shouldn't even be in the realm of discussion should these 2 types of fighters be up for release if they lose their 3rd in a row in these situations. But whatever. Dan Hardy went out there and got knocked out. Looked like a mirror image. They both went for the punch. Boom. He got hit worse. George St. Pierre, again, that fight, he showed a lot of heart and ended up not tapping a few times and just going all 25 minutes. Against Anthony Rumble Johnson, I mean, he doesn't want to get hit, I'll tell you that. But I think if he can push this fight, I mean, it would be smart for him to just put him up against the cage a few times. You don't have to get the takedown. Just go across the cage and do a few things just to show that you're going to do a little bit of grappling, and that'll probably gas Anthony Johnson out. There's probably a lot of ways for Dan Hardy to win this fight, and it most likely will just involve making Rumble go to the second round. I don't think if he goes to the second round, he's going to have gas. You've been off for a year and a half, and you got up to freaking 230 pounds. I don't see it happening. Is Dan Hardy smart enough to do that? I mean, against Carlos Condit was the one that was supposed to maybe take it to the ground, and he stayed on his feet. In this fight here, Anthony Rumble Johnson is going to be much bigger than him, and that's even if he makes weight. If he doesn't make weight, they're probably still going to fight, and he's still going to be much bigger than him. So, if Dan Hardy can turn this into a fight, not too much a scrap, where it's just brawling, but maybe even if he does and not get caught, I see Rumble gassing. And I see Dan Hardy either finishing him in the third by strikes or winning by some type of decision. I'm going to pick Dan Hardy beating Rumble Johnson, and then Anthony Rumble Johnson being forced to fight at a more reasonable weight class for a person of his size, especially since he is having so much damn problems keeping weight. That, of course, is 185. DaMarques Johnson against Amir Sadollah. DaMarques Johnson coming off of a win over Mike Guyman. He got basically a body triangle, and Guyman had some back injuries, but he was doing well anyways. I mean, you don't take somebody's back and put in the triangle and body triangle from getting lucky. I mean, he got there. Before that, he lost to Matt Riddle by TKO punches. Win over Brad Blackburn before that. Win over Edgar Garcia before that. I mean, he normally wants to come out there and try and get the win by submission, try and take it to the ground, etc., etc. I think he's going to try and do that against Amir Sadollah. Amir Sadollah, one Ultimate Fighter and has had a tough time since then. Came in, lost to Johny Hendricks. Then he beat Phil Baroni, beat Brad Blackburn, got absolutely owned by Dong Hyun Kim, and then defeated Peter Sabata. In this fight, he's going to have the better striking. And DaMarques Johnson, is he going to be able to just hold Amir Sadollah down? I don't see him being able to do what Dong Hyun Kim did. DaMarques Johnson is good on the ground, but is he good in wrestling? Is he good at just getting the fight to the ground? Is he going to be stronger than Amir? Probably. But is he going to be able to out-wrestle him? I think Amir Sadollah is going to be able to stuff a lot of takedowns and end up winning this fight when he forces the fight to stay on the feet. I'm picking Amir Sadollah by decision. And then Chan Sung Jung against Leonard Garcia. It was supposed to be Leonard Garcia against the other guy that he absolutely robbed, or at least the judges robbed, Nam Phan. Nam Phan got injured, so they said, all right, well, we need a rematch. The UFC, we need a rematch. So we're going to get somebody else that was robbed, Chan Sung Jung. And this is a tough one. He's been knocked out. Well, he got knocked out by George Roop in his last fight. And then before that, he had the loss to Leonard Garcia, which he really won. But the fact is, he got laid out cold by George Roop. But again, Leonard Garcia has really zero knockout power, and it's very expected considering how wild and technique-less his punches are. I think he generates all of his power from right around here. There's no power in his punches. The Korean Zombie said he was no longer the Korean Zombie after his knockout loss to George Roop. He said, you'll never see it again. There's just no glory in being dragged out unconscious. And that's that. So we'll see what happens in this fight. Man, it's so hard to pick against Leonard Garcia. I think it's even if Leonard Garcia gets tapped, I think the judge is going to Leonard Garcia. I think if Leonard Garcia isn't even fighting, if it's like, it doesn't even have to be the same weight class. Anderson Silva against John Jones at UFC 140. The winner is Leonard Garcia. Like, anytime he does not deserve a win, they're going to give it to him. But I can't make that change my mind on what I believe is going to happen. I have to pick Chang Sung Jung, formerly known as the Korean Zombie, to win this by decision. Good Lord, please, judges, please do not let this wild, swinging ridiculousness actually trick you again. One judge gave Leonard Garcia the fight against Mark Hominick, in which he got destroyed. I don't have to go through all of this. Chan Sung Jung by split decision. Good Lord. Undercard, we've got Mackin Semazir. He'll be going up against what's his name again? Leroy Jones, Bruce Leroy. I'm gonna pick Mackin Semazir. I've got John Madsen. Oh man, Mike Russo. I know you guys remember the knockout of the century. Put Todd Duffy in a coma. R.I.P. Todd Duffy. Shortly after hemorrhaging of the brain caused him to be cut from the UFC. He was just too injured for the athletic commissions to ever sanction him to fight again. He'll never pass medicals because of what Mike Russo did to him with the blatant, violent, and just utterly disgusting hammer fist after the knockout. I'm picking John Madsen, though, to stay undefeated. John Hathaway over Chris McKay. He should be able to win that fight, folks. Michael McDonald over Edwin Figueroa. I'm actually going to go with the underdog here. Sean McCorkle over Christian Moorcraft. I'm picking Johny Hendricks over TJ Waldburger. I'm going to go with Aaron Simpson over Mario Miranda. And the lock of the night, Nick Lentz over Waylon Lowe. The lock. You've got a Division I lay and pray expert in Nick Lentz against a Division II wrestler, Waylon Lowe. Again, Nick Lentz finds himself opening the UFC. I think Dana's hoping that nobody shows up until that fight is over. MMA, it's important. Peace.